Well, no one's thrilled. I can tell you that. I'm wearing, for those of you listening, I'm wearing face paint. The Jets lost. The Jays lost. It's not looking good for the kids over here. Tough night.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Podcast Network, to Locked On Blue Jays. I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Skylar Peters. No Carter first day. He's taking a little bit of a rest day. Again, the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Like I said, a little bit of a bullpen day. Have to call in the lefty, Skylar Peters, and it's late here. It's not super late for you, Skylar, right?
Well, it's still getting late. I'm an hour behind you, but yeah, you're grinding here. So
okay. No,
happy to help you out.
Time zones for me are just an absolute no-go. You could have been 4 hours behind me for all I know.
John Schneider must be managing this podcast because he's had his two high leverage guys up every night, and all of a sudden you got to call in a guy in a high leverage situation who might not have it, and here I am.
That's what hey, you know what? You were dialed in tonight. We had to bring you in, or locked on, I should say. You were locked on tonight. There we go.
I was locked on, locked in, every adjective. We had the double screens going and double disappointment at Casa Peters here in Alberta this evening.
Yeah, you know, we got a lot to get into. Obviously, everything with the game and sort of, I guess, this team as a whole at this point, because me and Carter have had discussions on what this, big problem for this team is. Is it the offense? Is the pitching? What is the driving force of this team? We're going to talk all that as well. Obviously, the series lost because the Toronto Blue Jays lose 2 of 3. Third game coming today as you guys are watching this. But make sure you guys follow us on Twitter, Braden 5 Iwasko, Skylar A. Peters as well on our main channel at Locked On Jays as well. You can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Blue Jays as well. If you're new here to YouTube or you're listening anywhere else, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It really does help us out. We just hit 2,500. So thank you guys so much. That is an awesome achievement, and that is all thanks to you guys. The comments have been unbelievable. We're still planning to do the mailbag episode next Tuesday, so make sure you guys tune in for that one. We are going back through a bunch of videos to your guys' comments, anything that you guys have brought up that me and Carter have circled and, want to go back to. We're going to do that next Tuesday. But also, if you guys got new comments to say about this team, we'll be reading those off as well. Okay, Skylar, I guess let's start. I usually start on sort of losses that feel bigger than what they are. Thoughts and feelings on today's game.
Yeah, I'm trying to evaluate whether this loss feels bigger than what it is. I mean, the Jays, I believe, 16-20 now, dropped the first 2 games of a 3-game set on the road to the Angles, as you put it on the sidebar, but they're the Los Angeles Angels, or the Los Angeles Angels. I don't know. I was sitting there mid ninth. It was 4-2. We were looking to get out of there with a win and maybe take this series tomorrow night. And I was kind of thinking about the game as a whole, and I thought, that you did what you had to do to beat a team that's really bad. It would have been nice if you ran up the score and it was 7-2 and you didn't have to put Jeff Hoffman in. Well, in comes Jeff Hoffman, no control whatsoever, 4-pitch walk, loads the bases, and then a Jorge Soler pull down the left field line, gets lost there by Clase in the left field, and next thing you know, it's a 5-4 walk-off final with the bases clearing double for Soler, and the Jays lose it. Really tough to watch. Obviously, we've seen great stuff from Jeff Hoffman early on in this season. I think there's a conversation we had about his usage, which we're probably going to get into in a little bit. I thought, there were other parts of the game that were encouraging. Jose Berrios, 9 strikeouts. I believe that's his season high. Yusei Kikuchi on the other side was also working pretty hard, dealing. I believe he had 6, maybe 7. The Blue Jays are playing a little bit of small ball from guys that have, been hitting 4 power lately. Anthony Santander, Vladimir Guerrero. They were getting things going. They had a good inning, ran it up on, the Angels' current best reliever at the top of the 7th, and it just wasn't enough to secure a win. I don't see any, managerial decisions that could have changed this game the other way. I think the loss of Andrus Gimenez with I believe it's a right quad strain, or maybe it's one of the quads anyway, on a bunt single to first was really tough. You put Addison Barger in third. You move Ernie Clement over to second. Ernie made a hell of a play at third base earlier in the game, and maybe he has the range to get that Soler double and maybe end this thing. But yeah, overall, tough to see when you go into a series like this, hoping that you can get back to 500, and now you've had a loss to one of the worst teams in the MLB, and it's only going to get harder at the end of the week up in Seattle.
Yeah, and I guess there's a few things that me and you should touch on, because me and Carter have had discussions. But again, I always tell the people it's tough for sometimes us to have different opinions because we live in the same apartment. We talk every single day. We watch the games together most of the time. So I want to bring up a couple things with you specifically, because maybe it will give us a different sense of what people are thinking. Again, we're sort of in our bubble and in our comment section, maybe other comment sections on different podcasts have different feelings. But I think there's three things to talk about. I know you want to bring up a little bit and talk about John Schneider, just with the whole situation. People are a little upset with him right now. I've said my piece, and I think we'll save that. We'll get into that. My biggest thing here has to be the fact that this team cannot score runs. I don't want to say in bunches, but in big moments. You have a chance to blow the game wide open. Timely hitting, right, it is such a major part of Major League Baseball at this point. You can't expect to go out there and score runs every inning. So when you can take the chance to, or you have the opportunity to score 3, 4, 5, 6 runs in an inning, which good teams tend to do, this team just can't get it done. They get the bases juiced a couple times, or they have runners on 1 and 3, and maybe it's a base running error, whatever it may be. I'm just thinking back to the last few games and what's happened. How important is timely hitting? And is that one of the major components here why this team is struggling so bad? I mean, you see 12 hits today. You would think with 12 hits, this team maybe should win the ball game.
Yeah, I think so. I was feeling the same way on Saturday. That loss to Cleveland. You have a chance to put a really big number on the board in a couple of innings and maybe give your high leverage guys a night off and coast to a win. You don't do that, and you let the back in the game, and then the back end of the bullpen unfortunately blows it. I don't think this is a bullpen problem. I just think it's an offense supporting defense problem. And I'm not sure John Schneider can do a whole lot different with what's going on right now. The Jays were really struggling in the homestand a little bit with runners in scoring position. But I feel like a lot of the other pieces of the offense are there right now. They're starting to hit the ball for power a little bit more. They're getting guys on base. They're drawing walks, that sort of thing. It's just really like putting all the puzzle pieces together and really stepping on a team's throat when you have them on the ropes. And they just haven't been able to do that, at least in the last, 7 to 10 days. And it's the difference right now between 16 and 20 and 18 and 18. And, unfortunately for fans that have covered this team or watched this team for quite a while, or covered it in your case, it's kind of the same old stories we've seen the last, 2.5 seasons now.
Yeah, and I guess the other part, because I have two more things I want to get into, but I'll save them for segment 2, because they are a little bit bigger topics that I think will bring out a little bit of discussion from me and you. But I guess my thoughts, or I guess where I'm thinking, where my head's at right now, is that I went from being super excited and thrilled about where this team has been to start the season, where they were at, and I thought they came out of the gates pretty well. Then it got to the time where we were on the losing, whatever it was, 9 of 10 or whatever, 8 of 10, whatever it was at the time.
It's now 12 of 16 since that start, by the way. So nice round 25% winning percentage in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, and then they bring it back a little bit more, and they bring me back, and I think, okay, maybe this team's about to get going. You start to see Santander, you start to see Vladdy, you start to see the power come out. Bo gets one the other day. Varsho comes back and he hits, right? It gives you hope and then sort of brings you back down. And I've been up and down with the emotions, right? It's been from upset to thrilled to happy to sort of somewhere in the middle to just sort of, I think where I'm at right now is sort of just disappointed. I don't want to say I'm angry. I don't want to say I'm frustrated, because it's stuff that you can look back over the past 2 seasons and really see that the holes are there. And I said this to Carter yesterday. I went on Edmonton radio after game 1. And my first thought was, this team looks like this pretty close to the same team we've seen the last 2 years. The same problems have been there from 2023, if I'm being honest. Do you sort of have the same thoughts and feeling like, is this really like, yes, players change, but the dynamic of this team, is it still the same from 2023 or 2024?
Well, it is, because you still got, the two big guys leading your franchise, at least, for the rest of the season, or maybe till the trade deadline, with Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And Vladdy's obviously not going anywhere with the contract he signed now a month ago, by the way. Kind of crazy to think about that. I think it's a month when this pod drops on Thursday. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really, I think, everything they did over the offseason was great. Complimentary ads by the front office, by Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro. They got the bats they think they needed. We know Anthony Santander is a slow starter. It's probably been talked about in this podcast far too much already, but he is. Now he's got 5 home runs. He leads the team. The team still has the lowest total in the MLB with 24 or 25. They didn't get one tonight, obviously. I think everyone's just kind of waiting, at least in like the Blue Jays front office, for the players to start playing to their full potential. And in the case of a guy like Bichette, we've been waiting for that for more than a year, things like that. And you can see flashes of it at some points. We've seen, the bottom half of this lineup carry the top half in the early part of the season. We've seen the top half carry the bottom half. The middle part of the lineup has looked good at points in the season as well. It's just really getting everybody on the same page at the same time, which, hasn't happened, at least in the last 3 weeks since they've been on this 4-12 skid. And you got through a really tough month of April, and you really need to start making some hay into, the mid part of June, where you kind of have a little more relaxed schedule. And, this was the perfect example of that tonight, where they haven't done that in the last 48 hours against a team in the Angels, which I think everyone would agree is not a good team, and now has the same record as the Toronto Blue Jays at 16-20.
Yeah, that is a tough thing to hear, I think, for all of Toronto Blue Jays fans. And again, I come onto this podcast every single day, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer, and I can't be all the time. Like today's game and in the last 2 games, it's been frustration, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to come on here and tell you guys that I'm absolutely wrecked after every game. Yes, these 2 games hurt. You definitely want to win them. Is the season over? No. Right? This team, I think there is a possibility where you see a bounce back. Now, if they lose tomorrow, and maybe this is a bigger question to ask you, at what point do you hit the panic button? Or are you already sort of right there? Do you think this season, is there even a possibility that the team has success moving forward? And you know what? I'm going to save your answer for right after the break, but
keep them hanging.
Yeah. I only get a couple days with you here and there, so I gotta really hammer the big questions when I get them. So a lot more to come right after this break. Skylar's going to answer when is the right time to hit the panic button, because again, me and Carter, we talk about it so much, and we get high, we get low. Some days you overreact or you underreact to something. So Skylar's opinion, I think, is a great one to take here. A little bit of an outsider, still obviously a big part of this podcast, but isn't a day-to-day guy here. So I think it's also good to get an outsider opinion on some of these things. Same with John Schneider, which I'm going to ask your opinion on as well. Plus, I have a little comment on the bullpen that might make you mad. I'm not sure. It might make you frustrated with me. We're going to see when we come back right after this short break. Today's episode brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from their site made for the skilled trade. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a template inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Wow, and what a day to have a FanDuel ad with Skylar Peters on the podcast. As you guys know, I am a avid FanDuel user. I've been betting like crazy. I've been winning. I actually got to withdraw money the other day, which is always a nice thing to be able to do. And with the NBA playoffs in full swing, and every night, NBA, NHL, baseball's on. There's so much sports to bet on. But every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never a better time to get on the action. For those of you who watched the Jets versus Blues game a few nights ago, I mean, if you would have bet Cole Perfetti to score the game winner with 2.2 seconds left on the clock, or as Winnipeg will say, 1.6 seconds left on the clock, great for you. That is an absolute bag. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. New to FanDuel. Perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. I got so many marbles in my mouth right now, we could have a game.
Did you get on the Jets live on Sunday night at any point in Game 7? They're down a couple goals.
No. See, I made a mistake. So it was Sunday night. The game was going on. I was at work, and I pulled money out, and I didn't have time to put money in. I was actually going to bet. I think it was at the beginning or the middle of the second period. I was going to bet Jets live, and I had like 13 cents in the account because I just pulled out like $200. So Didn't get in on that, sadly enough. But how about you? Did you hit it?
Yeah, I got him 6-1. Second half of the second period. I cleaned up. It was a 17-unit day. Just Jets everything. Vladimir Namestnikov point was really good for me in the first round. Mason Appleton point was really good. That didn't hit on Sunday. And I gave back 9 today between the Jets and the Blue Jays. So
perfect.
That's sports betting. Please play responsibly.
It is. It's up and down. I went on such a heater. It was I think it was Jays to start the season because I pretty much had Bichette as a lock to get a hit almost every game, or a total base every game. Some days I went 2, some days I went 1. Unbelievable. And sometimes strikeouts, I think I was hammering too on some guys. But back to my questions, because I know we could sit here and talk gambling for the next 45 minutes. How early is too early, or when is the appropriate time to hit a panic button? Because I think fans are getting pretty darn close to reaching for it at least.
Well, I think the context of the last couple of years for the Jays, shortens that window where you keep your hand off of it. I would say, a reasonable Jays fan, like I like to consider myself, will probably have it kind of hovering for the next week, and feel free to pull the trigger in mid-May. So maybe after the series, you get back home after the series against the Rays, you play that out and you see how things fall. Obviously, that's a team. They're tied with them. They're both 16-20 as it stands today. They're going to have a tough go against Seattle. Mariners are off to their best start since 2003. It's a team they've seen before already, thankfully, and there'll be a lot of Jays supporters. So if they can kind of scratch their way back into this little 6-game West Coast road trip, and then probably take 2 out of 3 against the Rays, I will lift my hand and put it beside the panic button. But anything less than that, we're probably gonna keep hovering until then, and that's completely fair for Jays fans. I just, there were Nolan Arenado rumors swirling earlier today. I don't know if you saw this. I know you were working, but people thought that he might be on the market. He was scratched, and I think he had back spasms or something like that. Like, none of this is coming for the Toronto Blue Jays. So, if you don't believe in the guys that they have right now to put things together and, all succeed as one, then you can hit it whenever you want. I still think this is still possible. They have an elite bullpen that is overused right now. Yes, a couple guys coming back from injury that can make a difference. And I think that they're, if everyone played up to 80-90% of their full potential on any given night, this team would, still be in the running in the AL East. They're only 4.5 games back as it stands right now. 3 games back of a wild card spot. Way too early to start looking at standings, but just to contextualize where we're at right now, they're still in it. It doesn't feel like last year this time to me anyway.
No, I 100% agree. And I think that's because I don't get me wrong. I see the holes in this team, and not necessarily positionally wise. It's my biggest thing with this team is I see the potential, right? You see how good the bullpen can be at their best. You see how good the starters can be at their best. And I think you have a lineup of guys that can do damage. I think if you have Varsho at his best, you have Kirk at his best, you have Springer, who's been excellent this season, you have Bichette hitting like he, has been besides last season. Vladdy, Santander, like not any team in this league doesn't have 9 guys that are all going to go up there and crush 40 home runs. That's just not going to happen. So it's just trying to get everything to work together. And it just, over the past few seasons, hasn't been able to happen for the Jays. And this is where I am going to throw you a little bit of a curveball, and you can tell me I am crazy or I'm not. I got Carter's a little bit reaction to this as we were at the Jets game today. I am very sick of hearing 2 things. One, that Anthony Santander and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are slow starters. I'm over it. I'm completely over it. I'm done. I don't care. Your players paid a ton of money to get the job done, and you fall too far behind. Eventually, it's too far behind. Number 2, and you can react to both of these. Number 2, overworked bullpen. They are slightly overworked so far this season. Carter did the breakdown on yesterday's episode. They are slightly overworked in talking about Jimmy Garcia and Jeff Hoffman. They are not absurdly overused. There are other teams that have used closers and set up guys more than they have been. And I get it. You can see the exhaustion in the way Jimmy Garcia has been throwing the ball. You can see the exhaustion in the way Jeff Hoffman's been throwing the ball. But at the end of the day, in a game like yesterday's, you got to get that done. The game where Yimi blows up, you got to get that done. I'm sorry. I get the exhaustion bit of it. But when does it start to become an excuse? That's where I'm at. And I'm not saying that quite yet, that this is all overblown, but I think it is a little bit. I think go out there and throw the ball and get the job done. You're paid to do it. Yes, it's not crazy. It's not crazy that you go out there and throw every third day. There is off days, and Jimmy Garcia has been throwing more than that, but Jeff Hoffman has had opportunities for rest. I think this one is
Jeff Hoffman hasn't pitched since Friday.
Yeah.
Like, people are talking about bullpen usage tonight. I'm like, this is the guy you signed to be an all-star caliber closer. I mean, you would hope he'd be in more save situations. Unfortunately, he hasn't. They had the off day on Monday, obviously. And yeah, like, what do you want? Like, this guy's on the starter schedule right now. Like, come in and get 3 outs, Jeff, please. No, I can't even find the strike zone, right? So, like, I don't see anything wrong with what happened today. I think this loss, I mean, he's recorded with the loss. This loss is on Jeff Hoffman, just like Saturday was on Jimmy Garcia. I don't see any managerial, switcheroo that could have. What are you going to put the guy you called up today? I don't even know his name. We could give his MLB debut in the 9th in a 2-run game. Like, Jimmy was down today. Obviously, wasn't available.
Yeah.
I guess Chad Green could have came in. If Brendan Little didn't get the 3rd out in the 8th, Green was hot in the bullpen. He was ready to go. Are you going to put Chad Green in the bottom of the 9th in this situation over Jeff Hoffman? No. Jeff Hoffman on 4 days of rest? Like, who does that? If people are calling for John Schneider's head tonight, I'd love to see what happens if Chad Green rolled in there and left Jeff Hoffman sitting on the bench and the same thing happened. The bullpen's not, I don't think it's terribly overworked. It'd be nice to have, Ryan Burr, Erik Swanson, Nick Sandlin is injured right now too. It'd be nice to have these guys. Brendan Little's been nails. Jimmy and Jeff have been nails. And then to your first point, yeah, it sucks that Vladdy and Tony are slow starters. It seems to be the narrative of their career. I don't get it because, you have I wasn't a baseball player, obviously never played big leagues, but it seems like spring training is enough, to get in the game and swing a hot bat. I mean, we saw with Daulton Varsho, he probably would have been doing that if he didn't get put on the IL to start the season. George Springer came off a terrible spring. And I think he's got the highest average on the Jays still in terms of their regulars. So I don't know. And I'll go back to one quick point about your roster. 9 guys not going to hit 40 nukes. Daulton was out today. Miles Trout playing center field. He was the best player of the game. He was really good. Made some good defensive plays. Easy outs when there should have been easy outs. 2 for 4 RBI. All you want from a guy that doesn't get in the field every single day. Jonathan Clase, not so much.
No.
Bottom of the order. When Addison Barger comes in, guy that I've been pining for to play every day, or most every day is a young guy that you called up. You option Alan Roden back down to AAA. Barger has obviously got all the tools to, be a big league player. I just feel like he's, 10 straight games away from finding it and, gets in the lineup in some big innings and delivers a hit and is only at bat. So, yeah, I thought it was I completely agree with both your points. I don't think I have any hot reaction. I don't know what you're looking for, but I'm not giving it to you.
You know what? I'm a little bit shocked because the outcry of it's a slow start, these guys start slow, has been crazy. And I'm done. And the other part of, well, these guys need to be rested. These guys need rest. I am so done hearing about that. And people can argue with me in the comments if they want to. At the end of the day, these guys are paid to play baseball, and they're paid to do these specific jobs. And I'll throw it to the John Schneider point here because I know you want to talk about that in the Yimi Garcia game.
Well, can I make one more point too on this? Like,
absolutely.
if you're talking about pitchers and rest, wouldn't you be more worried about the starting rotation than the bullpen right now? Like, they're all old guys. Jose Berrios has never missed a game in his life, and like these are the guys you should be concerned about. Max Scherzer through live BP today. He's going to do it again in Seattle. Good sign. Return's not imminent, like next week, maybe 2 weeks from now. You're putting up a bullpen day every fifth day right now for the Blue Jays. I'd be more concerned about those guys than the back end of the bullpen. And then if those guys start having a rough go, then we're really gonna have a bullpen conversation because they're going to get called in to pitch 6 innings instead of 3. You can get the 3 innings done. All right. Like we talked about how this was a pretty good bullpen at the start of the season. I'm fine with the usage.
And it's not like we're pulling these guys after, like you said, 2 innings, 3 innings. No. Like they're going 4, 5, 6.
And Jose, they put him out there at the top of the 7th. He allowed the first base runner. It was a homer. He allowed him on base. Yes, he allowed him to touch all 4 bases. But there's some faith in your guys. And you get 6 from Jose. It's a quality start. Less than he had 2 earned runs and 6 straight innings. Whereas Kikuchi comes out of the game and Reed Detmers comes in for the Angels, he doesn't even get credited with anything, and he allows 3 earned runs. So, like, which side would you rather be on? Unfortunately, the Angels got the win in this game, but I don't hate the process.
No, and you know what? Just to go back to it, I'm a little bit shocked that you had sort of the same thought process I did, and just because lately that's all I've been seeing. If it's Twitter, if it's comment sections, I know there are people that agree with me in our comment section too, or agree with us, I should say. But yeah, it's just been crazy. And I think the other part of this, and I was sort of on Carter's side at the start of this argument when we had a conversation on the phone when it came to John Schneider and the Yimi Garcia outing, and where he just blew up, and Carter was arguing that they should have put Yariel Rodriguez in because you saw that Jimmy's command is all over the place. And maybe that's true. And I could give him, I can give John Schneider a little bit of flack for that one. But at the end of the day, we've seen John Schneider pull guys too early or make a wrong decision here and there. And I'm not the biggest John Schneider advocate of all time, but I think a lot of this season comes down to the fact that these guys just aren't playing how they should be. And you're given the pieces. If you're given the, what, I got a comment on this the other day. A guy is like, it's like if you're given the tools to make a skateboard and you just decide not to make a skateboard. Well, no, John Schneider's given all the tools and just the tools fall apart on him. That's what
his quote, this is from Hazel on Twitter. I tried to watch the Schneider presser, but I couldn't find it before we started. This is from John Schneider verbatim. We've been operating with 3 round wheels and 1 square wheel. It's not quite there. And when it gets there, you forget about this. Right now, you want to try to just get the hell out of here, go to bed, wake up, and start all over. John Schneider tonight post game. So, I mean, that commenter, bravo.
Yeah. Bravo. On the nails. Yeah. No, and I think that was a few days ago. So unbelievable comment. I will find that for tomorrow's episode. I will find that comment, I promise you, because it was a great comment, and I got to give you credit where credit is due. In saying that, let's talk a little bit more about the upcoming start. And I do sort of want your total thoughts on a couple other things as well. Just, like I said, we don't get you on here enough. So I got to, I guess use you all out while I have you. So we'll come back with all that.
Including ad reads.
Including ad reads. Skylar Peters is doing one. Here we go.
Folks, are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Well, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value, or about 5 for someone like Braden. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. And I will say, I wasn't a pistachio guy for a long time, but they're always right at the front of the grocery store when I walk in. And actually, when I moved to Calgary, I was looking for something that was easy to snack on. I saw they had the no shells pistachios. So I grabbed a few, and they're basically a staple in the work vehicle right now for me. Always something to chop up and, kind of snack on while you're driving around town and doing that thing. So Wonderful Pistachios have been great for that, and still a go-to snack for me. Tried several flavors, and they just keep me going throughout the day. So I am a big pistachio fan myself. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Wow, it's like Carter first never left. You
How was that? Was that pretty good?
You got the pistachio ad in there.
I was really hoping for FanDuel because I knew this is something I use, and then you gave me pistachio. I was like, this is perfect.
No, that's great. And you even got a little Braden Wasco dig in there. It's like Carter first never left the podcast. We have, we got another game tomorrow and a lot to, me and you could sit here and chop it up for a while, but again, I am absolutely exhausted. I bet you work just as hard, if not harder than me and Carter do with everything that you're up to. And how you find time and I got to give you some props on the ability to sit down and watch every single Jays game as you do, and try to find enjoyment out of this team, even in the low points. So
well, Jason 30 is a great help in that. That's for sure. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're on Sportsnet Plus. We get it free with the TV provider. And so I just log on to Sportsnet Plus. I know during baseball sometimes when we have slow pitch games, if there's a weekend game or something, I'll load up the 30-minute or 15-minute recap if I need something quick too. So unbelievable options.
I got some X notifications on my watch or my phone from Blue Jays people, just keep up to date. And obviously I got the Score app notifications on my phone too. And I saw what went down on Saturday at work. I'm like, oh, this is going to be an interesting Jays in 30 watch when I get home. And got home, cracked a cold beverage, and watched it unfold in front of my eyes instead of on my watch. I was like, that is pretty much how I expected that to go. A little more shock when I saw it on the wristwatch, knowing who was pitching. But yeah, so there's always a way to keep up to date on your 16-20 Toronto Blue Jays phone.
That's right. And you know what? I've said this before, and I say this at the end of every episode, but I'm going to throw it in a little early here. Appreciate all of you guys that watch and listen. I am sorry, I am all over the place today, but I do appreciate everybody powering through with me. And it has been a somewhat crazy season so far. Like I said, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. We want your guys' comments for the Tuesday episode. Make sure you guys drop them on this video as well. We will get to a few of them. Make sure they're, somewhat thought out, or not. And we'll react to those ones too, I guess. Skylar, how do you feel about Chris Bassitt and Soriano going at it today's game? Predictions, thoughts. Is this a Carter first quoted must-win ball game?
I think they should really consider winning this ball game. We'll go with that. Like I said, you're going into Seattle. You've got a wild card pitching rematch in Gausman and Castillo in game one. You don't get any easy pitchers, even with Logan Gilbert on the IL for the Mariners. And Castillo's actually been no slouch. I think just looking at his game log before we signed on, his last 2 games probably the best games of the season. His ERA is in the mid 3s, and Chris Bassitt, after that incredible start, has kind of come back down to earth a little bit. I would probably take the under, just knowing how the Jays are with runners in scoring position, 5 for 13 today. I don't even want to look at the last 7 days stats for the Blue Jays and that. And, I think Bassitt should be able to tame this lineup. So, maybe get out of there with a 4-2 win, like I thought today was going to be, would be fine by me. Get on the bird and, get to Seattle and see what's going on for, another night game, which is kind of weird. I guess you're just going up the West Coast, but, getaway day and you're still playing at the same time. That 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern starts. That's a tough go for folks in the 403, especially with the hockey team playing so well too over there.
Yeah, it's been some crazy nights, but you know what? It's never a better time of year, right? When you got some playoff hockey, especially when it's in your city. You got Blue Jays baseball, which is just incredible most of the time until you want to pluck your eyes out. And and hopefully the boys will be able to get it done tonight as you guys are watching this. So again, Soriano sitting right now at a 3.83 ERA. Bassitt still sits at 2.95, still sub 3. So great for Bassitt. Great start to the season. And Skyler, we're gonna have to have you back. It's always a blast, and it's nice that me and you get to chop it up, just the two of us for once. It's sort of crazy, but sort of
Yeah,
nice too.
it was great, man. Happy to do it. I know the West Coast games are tough on you boys. It's a little bit easier on me and Dal. So happy to fill in whenever you can get a low leverage guy out. I'm happy to eat some innings for you.
That's all we ask. Hey, I'm off to. For those of you who don't know, I'm taking a trip in beginning of June. So I'm gonna try to still be on the pod as much as possible. It's just a week. So I'm going to still try to be on the pod mostly every day, but we got Skyler, we got Dallin, we got a new actually person popping on as well a little bit, Mr. Tristan Baranowski. He'll be on for an episode or two. And I'm sort of leaving it in Carter's hands, editing wise, posting wise. So hopefully it doesn't, the train doesn't go off the tracks here. There we go. Marbles again. Hey, kids struggling.
Yeah, because you've set such a standard, hey?
Hey, at least I got your name right, though.
This guy, yeah, true. This guy can't string 6 words together. He's worried about his partner editing it.
I didn't even have any beers tonight. I'm just in a rough shape. It's just the guy's dead. I was out on the streets in downtown Winnipeg this afternoon. It was fun. I was sweating buckets. I was wearing actually exactly what I'm wearing right now: sweater, long sleeve, and a jersey, because I thought, it might be a little chilly. Turns out, no, it is blistering hot in downtown Winnipeg.
Read the forecast. You work at a radio station. They read it every 15 minutes.
I was busy. I was like booking guests.
Okay. I've seen you work.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've seen you work. All right. Well, as always, thanks everybody for tuning in. A little bit different episode. Wanted to have some fun. Again, like I said, we don't get Skyler on too often, so might as well make it a little bit more of a fun episode, even when the Jays aren't doing too well. We will be back tomorrow, as per usual, me and Carter first. And make sure you guys tune in for that one. And like I said, we will have shorts and everything up coming this weekend. Just a little crazy today, especially with these late games. It's hard to get them out and then get the podcast out with things not sort of running into each other. So always appreciate you guys tuning into everything that we release. And make sure you guys do follow us on the Twitters, the Instagram, the TikToks. And like I said, leave comments as well. We're going to get to all those on Tuesday. We'll talk to you guys on Friday, tomorrow. There we go. God.
He had to think about it.